So thank you, Stefan. The next session, or the last session, is about training, and I think our first speaker is not here, so it will be a video presentation from Simon Cyril, driving test theory learner. He shows an alternative method to learn the traffic rules from driving theory tests in Switzerland. So we will see if there are questions after that video presentation.
Hello everyone. Here is a short presentation of game concepts produced as part of the HES-SO Master's course, Game Technologies. The game in question is called Driving Theory Test Learner by me, Simon Cyril. In this presentation, I'll start by talking about the context needed to understand the relevance of the game and what our game is all about. I will then explain the fundamental aspects of the game in the context of the prototype we've produced. I then give an overview of the prototype with a short demo and conclude with a summary of this small project. First of all, to understand why such a game is necessary, a little background is in order. In Switzerland, 80% of the population has a driver's license. To obtain one, the theoretical driving test is a compulsory step. To prepare for this exam, the most common method today is to use a smartphone app with looming questions, like an MCQ application. The learning process is therefore long and tedious. One application in Switzerland, for example, is PERRET, which, as can be seen on the right, offers several types of questions and situations in which the user must answer precisely. In this example, we can see multiple types of theory questions, and we can observe one that asks to the user, what does a branch light with a light signal mean by a yellow stationary light that follows green? And you can answer with free drive or accelerate to pass before changing to red, or stops for vehicles that can still stop in front of the junction. As we can see, this question is not the best. So, to formalize the problem question, current learning methods are tedious. There is a complete lack of variety and multiple repetition. These problems can make it difficult to maintain motivation to learn the theory. This shows that there is a need for interactive and affective study methods. So, for our proposed solution or prototype, our solution is a gamified traffic simulation prototype that teaches the highway code. It is an interesting and interactive learning method for driving theory tests. What's more, in this gamified simulation, we decided to gradually increase the complexity for effective learning. a sense of achievement. For our game world, so the game world we've imagined is a simple one, based on minimalist graphics to make sure the user focus is on the road signs and on all the rules on the road. It is a three-dimensional city to person immersion, where the player take on the role of a car, trying to get from point A to point B with a scripted path of this city. The player must then pay attention to the rules of the road, whether signs are implicit, as well as the other road users. In keeping with the minimalist spirit of the game, the interface contains only a speedometer, a GPS, and indications when rules are ignored. For our prototype, the level design remains simple. We've created a city, and the player takes several different routes through it. At each level, a new route is imposed, but the city remains the same, as we can see on the right, allowing the user to get to know the city. There are 3 levels imagined for this prototype, and each have a specific goal. The first level offers a tour of the city, introducing speed signs and stop signs. The second introduces the concepts of priorities and new signs. And finally, the third one introduces yet more new signs. For the core mechanics of our game are simple. Respect the rules of the road. This means obeying speed limits by accelerating or braking, stopping at stops on the stop line, put the blinker to signal before turning when our GPS indicates it, respect priorities, and respect other road users, like other cars, etc. Now we will show you a brief demo, a short demo of our prototype. So, as we can see, we have our car here. So first of all, in this mini demo, we can see our interface with its speedometer on the bottom right and the GPS on the left, who actually showed nothing, as well as a helper indicating whether what we are doing is correct or not, just here. We can start the video, we can start accelerating, and so the car will follow a predetermined path. In this case, encountering a speed limit sign. As we saw when we get closer to the sign, a pause is made so that the user can take note of the sign and learn how to react to it. And so on with each new sign. The score in the top left-hand corner is updated when the user follows assigned correctly. But if it doesn't, no points are awarded. Finally, to observe the increased score on the top left, I'll stop at the stop line, as you can see in front of us, and we can see that the score will increase. So here, you can see the score. We stop by 1. And so, that's for our game. So, to summarize, to sum up all this, we are presenting a gamified simulation concept that could help future drivers pass the highway code by teaching in a fun way the theoretical lessons. The gamified aspect of these concepts would simplify access to the driving test, especially for the young people. We have prototyped this concept with a minimalist game, and that allows the user to concentrate on the rules to be done, as we saw, like the stops or the speed limits. In addition, we decided to emphasize user concentration and learning, while linking this with funds, thanks to the scoring systems, as we saw in the video. To conclude, we think this project has a great future, as it offers an attractive alternative to current learning methods for the driving theory test. What's more, there are no games that have this, which makes this concept innovative. To develop the concept further, the game will need more road signs and more rules to cover all the rules of the road, for example, in Switzerland or other country. And similarly, pedestrians would need to be added, and the game would be added in the game. And so, a new dimension would be added to bring more immersion for the player. And to add even more immersion, we could imagine bring some more realistic graphics. Thanks for listening to this presentation of this project called Driving Theory Test Learner. If you want to know more about our project, you can contact me on my email. Thank you.
I will do something that usually you never ever do in a conference. But I would like to emphasize and point out something here. The student here, there was a deal. Or you would do an exam and report and plenty of things like are quite hard, or you come to the GSGS. And they say, okay, let's go come for making the effort. And this is something you never ever do. But I mean, I would like to emphasize and point out that this is the results, and well, what would be the conclusion there?
Thank you. So I don't know if you have a question for him or feedbacks. Maybe we can discuss right now. If not, we could move on to the next presentation. Pierre-Benjamin Monaco will discuss the negotiator. It's an application that teaches negotiation skills on a crisis management mode, right?
Yes, yes, it's a game about negotiation for hostage taking. Hello, hi everyone. My name is Pierre-Benjamin Monaco, and today I'm going to present. I'm sorry. Oh, it's very important that you take it. Yes. All right. Okay, this is a very serious situation. Hostage taking is happening right now, and I've just been asked to negotiate with the hostage taker. So, let's go. Hi, sir. I'm Pierre from the police department, and I'm here to speak with you about the current situation.
I don't care. Just do what I want and nobody's gonna get hurt.
Okay, what do you want?
My father is sick and I need money to cure him.
That's sad, but are you sure it's the good way to do that?
Nobody's wanna listen to me.
Okay, I'm here now. Can you tell me how many people are with you?
5 men and 2 women.
Is there any sick people or children?
One of the women is pregnant.
Okay, I know you have wife and kids. I'm sure you don't want to hurt anyone, right? So, would you agree to let her out?
You don't know shit about me. I don't wanna hurt anyone, but I won't let anyone out until I got the money.
Come on, do you realize how stupid your behavior is? You're gonna get killed if you do that.
It's over. I told you to listen to me.
Whoa, what just happened here? Did I do something wrong? Did I say something wrong? Well, this is what the negotiator is going to teach you. So hello again, everyone. My name is Pierre-Benjamin Monaco, and this project was carried out with 2 other fellow students, Diego Villagrasa, which is just here, and Dylan Canton. It has been done during the course of the master's program at the University of Applied Science and Arts, Western Switzerland. So let's go in the game. So this is a gamified simulation. It's a closed world in 3 dimensions with immersive sound. You can hear footsteps, sirens, and the aim is to learn negotiation in an immersive simulation. So in this game, you will be able to interact with autonomous agents, with people in the game, and also with objects. So here we can see there is a file about the suspect. We can find some information like his name, his age, and also his phone number, which is pretty important. You also will be able to gather information. You can go to the criminal reports and look at this guy. So if you search, you can see that he stole a car, he destroyed a house, so he's not a good guy. And you can also go to the social networks to look at his relationships and maybe also his mental stability. So what about this phone that I used at the beginning of the presentation? Well, in our simulation, you can interact with people with your own phone. And for us, this is the most innovative part of the project. So, the cell phone is something that mostly everyone has in its pocket. It's a pretty intimate object. And when you hear this thing ringing or vibrating, you know that someone in the real world is trying to reach you. So by using this device, we try to add another level of immersion, and we can try to break the fourth wall. So let me now explain you why a simulation is a good way to train this situation. The first thing is that when you're in a critical situation, your skills are lowered to the minimum. And the only thing you have left is your training. So if you want to avoid mistakes, you have to practice again and again. In jobs such as surgeon, airplane pilot, negotiator, if you do one mistake, it can be catastrophic. It can lead to people dying. So the idea is when you're experiencing this kind of situation in a simulation, you can do mistakes, but without the direct consequences. So when you're organizing a full-scale simulation, it will cost you time, money, and people. Not to say that most of the time, the people involved in this kind of full-scale simulation are specialists, and they will not be available for their actual job when doing this simulation. Also, the experience will not be the same between the participant in a full-scale simulation. Why? Because human beings are conducting this, and the mood will change during the day. So if you're using a computerized simulation, maybe the realism will be a bit low, but at least you can offer the same experience for every participant. So what are the challenges? For us, the first challenge is the immersion. Let me ask you a question. Do you think the more realistic the game is, the more immersive it will be? I will answer by not always. You have to find some important points to tune. And for us, here it's the scenario. So the other challenge is that we have to bring this project to life. So yeah, we know all these small projects, this proof of concept, they often end up in the shelf, in the drawer. So we have to find a way to bring this up. And the last challenge, which is very important also, is the acceptance of the community. So as you can see, we're dealing with pretty serious topics here. There is hostage taking, there are guns, and even people dying. So if I go now to a negotiator or someone in the field of the hostage taking negotiation, and I bring this simulation, he will see a video game. So we have to find a way to explain to the community that this is not for entertainment. This can really bring you new skills by using this. So as I said, we were three, and now there is only me that is presenting. Chico is just there. And what's next? So the adventure will continue because I will take this project as my final masterwork, and I'm very happy to say that I've been invited as a guest researcher at the University of Skövde in Sweden to pursue this goal. So there is two topics that we really want to explore, and the first one is artificial intelligence. So I told you that in this simulation you can communicate with people with your own phone. So okay, the hostage taker will call you, and you will hear, but the problem is that how do you answer him? And for the moment, in this simulation, you will have to press buttons, and this breaks the immersion. So would we find a way to use artificial intelligence, to use this device as we use it in the real life? That's a question. And the other topic that we want to explore is the creation of new scenario. So in order to improve the content of the game, sure, we have to make new scenario. But if you want to make new scenario now, you have to bring people from every field. It's a multidisciplinary project, like Dominique said. And you need time. So maybe if we can make a scenario creator that will enable the people from the field of negotiation to make their own scenario in an autonomous manner, well, the life cycle of the game can increase. So what do we need? We need technical skills. We need people that know how to make games, that know how to make simulation, that know how to code, to do artificial intelligence. We also need expertise. We need people that know the field. We need a negotiator or police school teacher, we need people that knows what are the situations. And at the end, we need all of you, because we want to spread the news. We want you to say, hey folks, there is a simulation that can help you train negotiating a hostage-taking situation. So the only thing I have left to say is thank you very much for listening to me. If you have any questions or suggestions or advice, please send me a mail. I will be happy to answer. So thank you very much.
Thank you. It's not a question, but I'm glad to thank my student for this nice presentation and the nice project. Again, this is one of the projects developed in the framework of the Game Tech course I give with Stefan, and I'm glad about my students, but also I'm glad about us, because achieving this after one term of learning game design and game implementation, and the majority of them have never done anything in this domain. So it's, yeah, I'm very glad about the teaching team and the students, and good luck for the future. The second comment, it's a joke in fact. In the game also we are gamifying the course, me and Stefan, because we are playing two opposite roles. I'm the gentle teacher and he is the very tough teacher, and it seems that tough teachers are have more success, because we will continue with you and not with me. So next year we will change roles, okay? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I have to say that I was not alone again. This project would not have been done without Diego and Dylan.
Yeah, I thank
all
of the students.
Yes.
Thank you very much. I really liked also the seniorized presentation that you did, kind of gamified also. And I don't know if I did not get it, but where the idea of this negotiator came from, and did you have a demand or some police teachers, or I don't know, asking for something, and hence, who are the customers of it?
So I could be mean and I could say, here is my colleague and he will answer way better than me, but I will do that. I was not at the first course of the year, so they choose without me, but what can I say is that both of the other students have people that are related to this field, and it was just an idea like that. We didn't have a stakeholder, we didn't have someone that wanted this, but I think we imagine that it would be a great idea to make a game to improve technical skills and automatic.
But I think one of the members of team has take a course on that, or was a volunteer or something like that.
No,
the police.
A friend of one of the students was actually doing was learning in the police,
yeah,
and the other one, his father, is a former negotiator. So we had it back.
Another question, because I would like to ask you on that negotiation skills. Did you ask your relatives expertise on that project, or because you talked about that, is it something to do, or has it been done for the project?
So yes, we formed, because we did only one big scenario, and the scenario was reviewed by both these people, and they said it was pretty okay. It was, yes, relatively realistic. Yes.
Thank you. Another question? So if not, thank you again. Now we can. So the next presentation is about Patrick Joos from the Ostschweizer Fachhochschule. And he will talk about Exergame cloud platform, decoupling input devices from games.
Thank you very much for coming. And as you see, I will be talking about the Exergame cloud platform, a project that we realized over the last 3 years. Maybe first a little bit about me. My name is Patrick Joos. I work at HOSH, as already mentioned. I'm a master and a passionate gamer, a mountain biker, and here's the warning for all of you. I'm a programmer, I'm not really a designer, so this is going to be a little bit of a technical talk. There we go. Alright, and so since you can already see me here and on the live stream, I thought you would rather enjoy a picture of my cat. Alright, I'm going to talk a bit about, how we got here, so what was our project, what our big problem was, what our solution to that problem is or looks like. A short demo, it will be a video, and at the end I'll tell you my conclusion to that. So, how did we get here? We were approached by a business partner about doing exogames for stroke patients, specifically to use user-generated content to improve therapy success. The idea was to use pictures from like family members, grandkids especially, to improve the therapeutic success. We already heard yesterday a few times mentioned that involving family can be really helpful in that way. And the second part that our business partner wanted to do was he had a talk with a patient called Gerda, and she shared a vivid memory of cycling up the Gotthard mountain pass. And so he wanted to include that. This was the start of the project. So we had like everything ready, the clinics, the partners, and everything was ready. But then we had a different kind of problem, and that's why I have to do the next disclaimer here. I'm not really going to talk about the user-generated content part, but our big problem was developing exogames is really hard, and without devices, so without home trainers, without heart rate sensors and stuff like that, it gets even harder. And if you're talking in a clinical environment, accessing certified devices can be basically impossible. Some of you may know these sensors can be very cheap, like $30, or they can rank up to something like $250,000 upwards. No developer or no game developer can put such device inside their studio. I think that should be obvious. So we thought about how can we solve that problem, but how can we talk about these devices if we don't have them in our studio? We thought about how can we standardize this communication between the devices and their games. How do these devices connect to the games, and how is that data transferred? The solution that we came up with looks a little bit like this. We have a centralized server that each device in each game will connect to through standard, through web standards like REST, WebSockets, and JSON. And that was one part. So we chose those standards because they are ubiquitous. Basically, any device that you can connect somehow to the internet can do that. And we defined 2 new interfaces to facilitate that communication. And these are those two interfaces. The first is the port. Ports are like connectors, which where you can connect basically anything that fits into a port. You can connect it. I'll elaborate on that a little bit later. And the second part is the data part. So how is that data formatted and how can you use it in your game? First, let's talk a bit about the ports. As just mentioned, a port defines on one side what a device can do, so its capabilities, and on the other side, what does a game need to play, so its requirements. For example, it needs a few buttons to be able to be controlled, and the device has like, maybe if you think about a gamepad, an almost standardized gamepad controller, a button could be such a port. Each port defines a unique ID, both for the client, so for one device, and for the port itself, so that you can distinguish in between them. As mentioned, they communicate through WebSockets, and each device would implement a gateway, as we call them, or a driver. We settled on that solution because it allows us to basically put the gateway anywhere we want. We could, for example, hook up a home trainer to a laptop and have the gateway here, which connects then to the server. We could implement it directly on the device, maybe through an Arduino device or something like that. So it gives us the freedom to put these gateways basically anywhere that we see fit, or implement them anywhere we see fit. And yeah, so we can basically put them in any kind of device we want. The second part is our data classes. Now, this is based on a paper by Stuck. They had a paper called Classifying Input for Active Games, and they identified 6 different data classes. I write here 7. I'll elaborate on that in a short while. So they have different kind of data classes that they identified that says, well, these are all the types of inputs you can have for an EXO game. That is, those classes, a simple tap, that's a button on or off. You have axis, so you map that to a range from -1 to 1, with 0 being the dead center. Point on a normalized rectangle that could be mapped to a touch screen, something like that. A power, I don't think you can see the heart rate sensor quite as good, but still there. It could be, for example, a heart rate sensor or a cadence sensor, something like that. We have gestures. Gesture is a named event, basically. So when a tennis racket hits a ball, that could be a gesture. And a stance. So if anybody has ever played with Kinect, you know what that would look like. So you can take a representation of your skeleton, basically. Those are the 6 classes identified originally, and we added a 7th one, array, which can be used, for example, to model VR controllers. So you have a position and an orientation in a space. So I'll show a little bit of how on the process, so how would that work? And the devices, we have 2 here, a bike and a watch. They would connect to a server at any point in time. The game announces its requirements as well. And then we have the user. And the user now says, okay, I want to connect this device to this game in a certain way. I'll show that later. The server will send connection information to both the game and the device, and facilitates the data flow from the device to the game. You can do a little extension here where you can actually channel data from the game back to the device. If you have like a force feedback device, you could do it in the other direction as well. It doesn't impede that in any way. I'll give you a short example maybe with the port, since it can be a little bit hard to imagine. Let's have a typical home trainer. This home trainer can provide us with several things. For example, the cadence, so how fast the pedals are spinning, can be mapped to a power. The heart rate, which is measured by the handles, could also be mapped to a power. Shifting up and down, you have two buttons. You can map that to a tap. And on this special device, you have a little bit of steering. So you can map that to an axis. Now we've broken down that device into its components. So we don't have to think about specific implementation. We just need to know what it can provide. Let's have an example game. Flying bike game, for example. Your target is to collect the yellow dots above, I think that's Lake Zurich actually. I'm sorry I couldn't change it to NEUCHÄTEL at any time. If you pedal harder, you ascend. If you pedal slower, you descend, and you have to steer through those rings I wrote here, but they're actually bubbles. And this game needs three things. It needs a power to measure how fast you're going. It needs a little bit of steering, and it needs one click for an interaction. So we map that again to power, axis, and tap. And now we can simply connect them. We can connect the cadence to power, we can connect the steering to the steering input, of course, and we can choose basically either the up or down button for the interactive part. The fun thing is, since this is all live, so all in real time, in the middle of the training you could say, okay, the bike isn't really working anymore, so you can switch it in real time to another port. Right. Okay, so here is a little demo. It's another game that we made to demonstrate the demo effect, apparently. Yeah. I'll post a link to the video later. It's on YouTube, so you can watch it afterwards, and it will show a little bit in live what kind of devices and what kind of games we made for that project. I'm very sorry that the video didn't work out. In our conclusions, what we find is that with this approach, you can really simplify the development of EXO games, since it allows you to think about the capabilities and the requirements of the game. You're not thinking about, okay, which API and SDK do I need to connect that. You just know I can, as long as I implement that interface, any game works with any device that will support our interface. Trying out new configurations is also really quick. For example, we had with the kayak game that I showed you, just steer left and right, and we could have two buttons. So we tried it first just with a single player, and then we just gave both buttons to different players, and suddenly we had a multiplayer game without doing any recoding or stuff like that. It was really fun to watch them light up like that. And adding new devices does not require you to change your game. So as long as both the device and the game support the interface, you can connect anything, even if it's a new device that was created years afterwards. And lastly, the games can be created separately from the device. So you can develop the whole game inside your studio. The device manufacturer provides you with what kind of ports the device supports, and you just code against that. And you don't have to worry about how the device exactly works. Perspective. So what we need to do now, or what we are trying to do, we need to facilitate the access to that interface. For anyone interested, documentation to our interface is on the QR code on the left. And we already started to get some additional funding to try to find out how much we can push that that approach from the canton of Graubünden. So I'm from the very east, if anyone didn't notice yet. And yeah, we need support from more game developers, and we need support from the device manufacturers, and that's what we will try in the next few months and years. So, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the talk, even though it was a little bit technical. And yeah, special thanks to Stefan and Julian for the organization of the whole conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions?
If I understood correctly, this is a very smart interface between device and program, correct?
A smart interface?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, it can be looked at it like that, yes.
And very smart, very useful. The question is, have you experienced many trouble in terms of protocols? A lot of devices come from China, Korea, Japan, and so, and also sensitivity on the parameter of the
yes.
device itself.
Yeah. The good thing is, since we were mostly in control of doing the development of the gateways, we had a lot of control over the sensitivity and stuff like that. But it also, maybe a question that is popping up is also, okay, is WebSocket even fast enough for something like that? But like the sensors, for example, from my watch, they have a resolution of like 2 seconds. So I think we're fast enough there. And yeah, so that's something you have to take into account anyway, I think, when you're developing your EXO game. And what I experienced, that you shouldn't really make an EXO game that requires really rapid movements, because if somebody gets off balance in some way, they could hurt themselves. So really try to have controlled movements like that. So no, we didn't really experience a lot of problems with the sensor data, stuff like that, but it's something that you have to keep in mind.
Just one more curiosity about that. Do you have a protocol kind of self-calibrating in the very first 2 seconds when you connect the device, kind of self-calibration property?
That would need to be implemented on the gateway, so on the program that connects to the server.
Okay.
Yes. So we can do that. Yes.
Okay.
We have time for just one more question. So maybe that question would be, could you elaborate maybe live about the demo you were going to show us, or what was about to be screened?
Yes, I can. Well, it's like explaining a joke. You'll kill it. But yeah, I can quickly tell you what's in there. It's actually, you see the link down here. If you copy it, or if you type that link into your browser, you will see it. And basically, what we show is how you connect your devices and your games. We have like a node-based way to do that. You could also do an automatic way. to connect device and game. And we also show a few different devices that we implemented for our game. So short list is like, as I said, smartwatches or and plus watches. We have cadence sensors from bikes. We have the dance pad from Dance Dance Revolution. We have the, I don't know if anybody remembers that, but the Donkey Kong bongos from way back in the GameCube days. Joysticks, yeah. So we have a lot of different devices, and it's really easy to connect them all together and do fun stuff with it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. So a round of applause for him once again. Thank you. The last presentation for this session is Sergio Lopez from the University of Applied Sciences and Arts Western Switzerland, HES-SO, talking about enhancing gamification within an online brainstorming tool.
Okay, so welcome and thank you for being here. I'm Sergio Lopez and I will present you my master thesis about gamified brainstorming for dynamic classroom. So first I will talk about a summary of this project. I had the opportunity to conduct research about gamified elements that could bring something valuable inside an application. And then we have tested this element with a small group of participants there for initial feedback. So just for your knowing, I will explain two key elements. The first one is the brainstorming. So I will talk a lot with brainstorming. There is a few ways to do brainstorming. The way I will use is this one in the picture. So the first phase is the ideation, is when you generate ID. Then you have sorting phase, when you sort the ID in small groups. Then you can, in the categorization phase, it's when you name your groups. Then you have the voting phase, for voting on the bearer ID, and the results. All this phase is inside the application, and also for the gamification. Gamification elements come from games like RPG games, video games, etc. And these elements can be added to any applications. But the purpose of these applications is just for adding some help or for helping the user inside the applications. So for the context, the first goal that we want to do is energizing classrooms. And for that, there is this project is a follow-up of another. The first version of this project was only the application that can do the session of brainstorming. And then what we want is added gamification elements inside this application. Just the first version is only the application online can do some brainstorming online. There is some gamification inside, like trophies, points, the score and the ranking, for example. And yeah, we need more gamification elements inside. So this was the context. The target issue for my project was the user management. So the first version has no user management, and we added this functionality for store some data about users. And also we want to reduce competition, because when you have a ranking system inside an application, there is also competition. And also added some creativity, interactivity, and user experience elements inside the new version of the application. So this is all the elements that we have had to the old application, and I will show you for each what it's like inside the application. So first, this is the functionality about session, trophy score, and history. So this was the first version of the application. This is very simple. You just need to add the code on the room and your name. And this is the new version. So we have something like on the right, top right, like statistic with the score of the total score of all of your stations that it saw, and also the number of ID the ID you generate, and the trophy that you unlock at least once. Then you have something for login, so every user is inside a class, and you choose your user, and you can choose also an avatar. Next, I will talk about the progress bar. So this one was the old version, and on the right you can see there is a race track, and all the people race on each other, and there is also some competitivity. So we want to erase this race, and we added a progress bar. That's all the ID from all the participants increase the same progress bar to a goal that the moderator can set. And yeah, you can see there is some bronze, silver, core, and then if you hit the 100%, it's gold. Now we'll talk about the suggestion system. So the suggestion system will help people or users that have no ID during the iteration phase. So how I did this is when everyone can generate ID, and this is the people that don't generate around 1 minute, that don't have generate ID, a pop-up will pop with the last ID generated from the others. And that can increase the creativity of the user that have no ID, for example. Next, I will talk about the trophy that I have had. So I have two types of trophy. The first is the trophy from the progress bar. So when you hit the gold tier or the silver bronze tier. Then you have some long-term trophy that we have had because now we have some data storage, so I can add this type of trophy. So when you have, for example, 500 or plus total score, you obtain a trophy for that. Now we talk about the cursor sharing system. So this functionality is on the second phase, when we need to sort the ID generate. And you can see that there is some three cursors here. So the one with the crown is the moderator, and the two other is the user. So everyone can see every one cursor. So it can help, for example, the moderator can, because only the moderator can move the ID and make groups, and that increases the interactivity inside the application. I will also talk about the ranking screen and results. This one is from the old version, and there is all the results inside one view. So you have the best ID on the left, the trophy you score on the right, and also a ranking on the bottom right. And we wanted to change this and two views separate. One is the result of the sessions for more simply for you. For example, we have only the ID from with the votes from the brainstorming session. Then we have also the best category, and on the second view we have the best ID from the user, and also his trophy, his score, his all data, and the ranking. We have changed the ranking, and only the top 3 user can see his home rank. So it's better effect for less competitivity. And last functionality that we add is different visual team. So we have had 4 teams that you can choose at the start of the session. There is something like very classic with gray, black and white, a little bit more colorful, with some brown. Then very colorful with some green and red. And also the classic dark team. Okay, so now we'll talk about the test results that we have done. And we have done 3 sessions of tests with a total of 13 persons that answer all the questions from the survey. So we have 1 session with the teacher and 2 sessions with the students. And here are the results. So I don't make long, but you can see, for example, the first question was about the sharing puzzle. And you can see that the teacher is lower than the result for the students. It's because on the group from the teacher there was 12 persons, and when you have 12 cursors moving around, it's a bit messy. So this is something that we can change. And yeah, in the other hand, we have some really well good results on the right, with some potential source of motivation that is very high. And also, we asked the teacher about the use of similar tools in teaching, and the results was also very high. So for the conclusion, here are the picture of every element that we have had changed, improved, or removed, for example. So we have only removed the race, and all the things was improved or was new. And for the perspective and needs, the first thing we need is further testing, because we don't have any data for the results, for knowing if it's good or not. And also we want further collaboration with school, and also some consistency and usability in the application. So I'm the end of the presentation. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Sergio.
Thank you so very much, Sergio. I would like to emphasize that this week I used Sergio's application during some of the workshop to find out, because we had to create something like a sales game or gamified product. And people were really happily surprised and enjoyed.
Thank you. Another question or comment? So I have one. The question is, how can you configure it or determine how long you have this ideation phase or not? Because it will require sometimes for the uninspired.
In each session there is a moderator that creates the session. And in this view, when you create the session, you can set, for example, the goal for the progress bar, but also you can set the time for the ideation phase, and something like that.
So testing now is going to be through some courses or things like that, or
we work with Stefan for searching some people for the testing.
Is it on a project scale or more like for your own? The same, sorry.
We are looking for funds. So if you have some credits, we are looking for a grant. We might work with the consortium with HES-SO, and many other HES-SO. Oh, I don't know. Looking for. You know that?
Another question or comment?
Thank you for your presentation. It was very cool.
I have a question because when I was a student, I was really bad, and if you ask me to write something on the wall, I would write something that the teacher don't want to see. So how does it bother it? Okay.
Yeah, right now there is no moderation system, but this is something that we can add for the future version. So yeah, now we can do anything about that.
But the teacher knows the name of the student? Oh,
yeah.
so it's okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well then, thank you.
So there is a small break now, and I would like to also emphasize the fact that please stay for the last presentation. It will be made by Doris. It's a great work, so please. And after that, also there's the rewards and for the name of the GSGS and reward people that will be rewarded. So please stay. And enjoy your break.